Good morning, children. I am happy to see again. Today we are going to learn a very important topic in chemistry is nothing but matter around us. We know that in our daily life we are using so many of objects. Each and every object in the world around us is made up of some kind of matter. So we can able to feel that matter, that is perceive that matter through our sense like touching, seeing, smelling, etc. and so on. We can see a glass of tumbler, we can able to feel the air blowing on us, we can able to smell the pleasant smell from the scent or from the flower. So all these things are made up of some kind of matter. So what is matter? So matter is nothing but which has some weight, that is some mass and occupies some space. So here in this lesson we are going to learn about what is matter and what are the matter is made up of. So I just say what is the definition for matter. Matter is anything that has definite mass and occupies space. So we have studied our lower classes, matter are of three states. One is solid, liquid and gas in our lower classes. We have three states of matter that we are using in our daily life, that may be in solid, liquid or gas. For example, the vessel we use is a matter which has some mass and occupies space also. And in the vessel if you pour some liquid like water or oil, that is a liquid, that is also a kind of matter. And gas also is filled, it can able to occupy a space and it has also some mass. So all these things are we called as three states of matter. So what are these matters are composed of? So these matters are composed of smaller particles like atoms, molecules or ions. So you have heard all these words already in our lower classes. So this matter is composed of an atoms, molecules or ion. So what is an atom? Atom is the smallest particle or element. So atom is the smallest particle of the element that has same property of that element. For example, when I take a bar of gold or copper, whatever it may be, you just hit that, we can able to hit the gold. When you hit that, it break into pieces. So we will have the pieces. So all the pieces will be gold only. So that atoms is only gold atoms will be present in that element. So we can say it has the same property of gold. So the atom which possesses the same property of that element is called as atom. Do you understand what is an atom? Now next we are going to see about what is molecules. When this group of atoms of same elements or different elements constitute a molecule. For example, when I take as I said the gold atoms, in a gold bar all the atoms will be gold. When I take some other molecule like water, H2O, that is it has hydrogen atoms as well as oxygen atoms. So it constitutes a molecules. So what is a molecule? Atoms of same elements or different elements constitute a molecules. When I come to the next term is nothing but ions. When I take the ions, the atoms or group of atoms having charges. For example, some we can see in the chemical reactions they will write as Al plus or Cl minus. So this plus and minus are the charges carried by the atoms and that is called as ions. So the atom or group of atom having charges are called as ions. So we are dealing with what is matter and how the matter is made up of. The matter is made up of some particles like atoms, molecules or ions, and we studied about what is an atom. Atom is a smaller particle of element that has the same property of elements. And next we study about what is molecules. Molecules is nothing but atoms of same elements or different elements constitute a molecules. Next is ions. An atom or group of atom having charges is called as ions. As I said that it may have positive charge, it may have negative charge. We will study what is positive charge, that is called as positive charge is cation and negative charge is anion. You will study more in your higher classes. Then coming to the next part, so in this class we are going to learn about What is matter we studied already. So this matter, what is called as element. So how the elements are classified, like metals and non-metals, and their physical properties and uses of metals and non-metals, as well as we are going to study about the types of symbols that we are going to learn in the coming up video. Then we are going to learn about compounds. It may be organic compound or inorganic compound and their uses in our daily life. So let us go inside the class in the lesson, elements. So far what I said is just an introduction. We studied about the matter which we studied already in our lower classes. So now we are going to inside the lesson, elements. So in our everyday life we are using so many elements like iron, steel, aluminium, gold, silver, so on. It is going on like that. So all these things comes under the category called elements. So what is an element? Element is nothing but is a pure substance that cannot be broken down by chemical method into a simpler components. That is called as an element. As I said an example previously, you just take an aluminium sheet or aluminium bar or a copper or any other metal, any other elements, you break into pieces, you will get into small pieces. But each and every piece will have the same atoms. What atoms? What element you took, the same atoms will be present. So that is called as element. So it cannot be broken down by chemical method into simpler components. The main point is it consists of only one type of atoms. So when you break a gold, it will be the atoms, all the atoms will be gold. So it has the same property of that element. That's the meaning I said previously, the definition for atoms. I hope you can understand what is an element. So element is a pure substance that cannot be broken down by any chemical method into simpler components, and it always have the same atoms. Throughout the atoms will be the same. That is called as elements. Coming to the next one. So there are how many elements there are in the world? So far the scientists have discovered 118 elements so far. Some they get naturally from the earth, some are made. Most of the elements are available from the earth. By mining we can able to extract that. So some are made in the laboratory also. So there are totally how many number of elements are there is 118 elements are there. So these elements are available naturally from the ground. Only few are made in the laboratory. I hope you can understand what is an element. So elements is nothing but what we are doing, we are using in our day-to-day life, that is called as element. The metals which we use is called as element. That may be compound, that may be mixture, so many definitions are there. Let us stop with what is element now. So element is a pure substance that cannot be broken down by any chemical method into simpler components. The next we are going to see about symbol. So you know the meaning of symbol. For what purpose we use symbols? We can see the traffic signs or the boards which is kept at the roadside, so that just seeing the symbol you can understand what is there. So if there is a railway track there, you can see the railway track symbols will be there, so that you can identify that is a railway track is there. You can see the speed brake symbols. So all these symbols, what is the use of that symbols? What is the purpose of that? It's nothing but just for identification. So for example, the piece of symbol, symbol used for piece is down. We know that. So like that in the maths also, we use some arithmetic operations like plus. We are writing plus. This denotes it is addition. When I write minus, it denotes subtraction. So seeing this, you can able to identify whether you have to add or subtract without anybody's instruction. The same way in chemistry also, we use symbols to identify the elements. So there are types of symbols we used in the olden days. So there are 4 types of symbols. One is Greek symbols, next is alchemist symbols, next is Dalton symbols and Berzelius symbols, and present system of determining symbols of elements. We'll go one by one. So what is Greek symbols? I hope you know what is symbols. In a very simple way, if I say symbols are used only for the identification of the element. In chemistry it is used for identification of the element, and we are using symbols in so many places also. So that is called as symbols. And types of symbols, as I said, the first one comes as Greek symbols. So Greek symbols, in the ancient time, Greek people used symbols to, that is, they use the geometrical shapes to give the symbols of basic elements like earth, fire, air and water. They just use a triangle shape to identify what is that means. For example, they have, in your book it is given in such a way. I need everyone to have the book while I am taking the class. Please have the book in your hand. So they have drawn the symbols in such a way. So all these symbols they have denoted in the book, and all these symbols denotes as earth, fire, air as well as water. So these symbols are called as Greek symbols. It is used in the ancient Greek time and they use a geometrical shapes like this. The next symbols we are going to study about is alchemist symbols. What is alchemist? What is the meaning of alchemist? And so in the olden days, in the medieval period of the year, the alchemists, the people who makes the lesser value elements as a gold. They like to change the lesser value elements into gold. That method is called as alchemistry, and the person who use that method is called as alchemist, and they use a particular symbol for that. So here they are given some symbols like this in your book. So you can see antimony will be given, so many symbols are given. So that's why I said you just have the book in your hand while teaching this lesson. It will be useful and you can understand easily also. So what is alchemist means? Some people like to change the less value metal into gold. That process is called as alchemistry, and the people doing this work is called as alchemists, and they use some symbols for that elements or metals to use. So that is called as alchemist symbols. Coming to the next one is Dalton symbols. Dalton is a scientist who wants to make symbols for these elements, but the symbols are very difficult to identify as well as to keep in memory. So these symbols are not in use, just like a historical event it is kept. It is stored as a historical event. So here the next one is Berzelius symbol. He is a person, he is also one of the scientists. He used alphabets, the letters of alphabets for determining the elements. So it is very easy for the people to identify, to keep in his mind. So what method he uses, he just had alphabets or he had letters for the elements. So this alphabets is now modified, and we are using this method, the present system of determining system of elements using this alphabets. So we are going to learn how to identify an element using these letters. We have some rules to be followed. So I repeat again, we are learning about symbols. Symbols is used just for identification, and we have types of symbols like Greek symbols, alchemist symbols, Dalton symbols, Berzelius symbols, and present system of determining symbols of elements. I hope you can understand this part. So we are going to continue how to identify the elements using the alphabets of letters. Let us go to you have your book please. When you write an element, for example, most of the elements, especially the non-metals, will have the first letters as their symbols. For example, when I write carbon, so the first letter of carbon is C, so it is taken as the symbol. When I write C, whenever you see the word C, see the letter C, then it is called carbon. When I write boron, then it is B. So like that, most of the non-metals is mentioned by the first letter, and it will be in capital letter also. So this is the first one. So all the elements, seeing this, it will be easy for us to remember also. Wherever you see the letter C, immediately you will get in your mind as carbon. Wherever you see the letter B, it is denoted as boron. So not only these things. So we have the other method, that is, if two elements have the same starting letters. For example, when I write aluminium, and arsenic. When I write these elements, so here you can see the starting letter is A. So you will get confused how to identify. In this type of elements, we will write the first letter in capital and the second letter as L. So it is mentioned as A-L. It will be the uppercase, it will be in the lowercase, that is capital and small letter. When I write this yes, arsenic. So this is the method of writing aluminium as well as arsenic. So here we can have the other also, that is argon. We can write as A-R. So it is easy to identify and keep in our mind. When I write Al, wherever you see Al, immediately you can say that is aluminium. When I say argon, Ar, it is argon. So you will take if the first letters are same, we will take the second letter along with it. So that is the way of identifying. So when I have, see here, the third one, you can see argon and arsenic have same letters. First two letters are same. So how to identify? We can write this as Ar, already we have mentioned. So we have to take the third letter from this metal, from this words as As, arsenic, that is As is taken. Is it clear? So now this is the method of writing the symbols. Also, some elements are written based on their Greek letters or Latin name, from the Greek name or Latin name, which from that we can able to write the symbols. For example, when I write potassium, the Latin name for that is Kalium, so it is mentioned by the letter capital K. So this is the way of writing. So I would like to see your book now, page number 96 in your book. You can see there is the table is given as Greek or Latin name of elements. First one they are given as sodium, and the Latin name for sodium is natrium. So the first letter of that one is Na. So we write as sodium as Na. The next one is, as I wrote here, potassium. The Latin name for that is kalium, and it is mentioned by the letter K. The same way, iron. Iron is mentioned in the word like ferrum, so it is written as Fe. So many elements are given and the Latin name is given. I would like everyone to go through the tabular column before learning this lesson. The next method of writing, the other method is, some scientists they have mentioned with the country as well as the planets and with the colors. For example, you can see your book, Americium is given, that's the name of an element, and it is symbol is Am, it is a country. Americium you can easily identify as America, and also as Europium, EU, and it is the country as Europe. Nobelium, No, it is after the name of the scientist Alfred Nobel, that you have already heard the name of the scientist. Then iodine is a violet color, based on the violet color it is given as iodine I. And mercury, it is a mythological name, that is from the god, Greek god. We use the word Greek god Mercury, and it is Hg, Hierogarium. It is a Latin name. And next is plutonium. It is also a planet, Pluto, from the name Pluto, plutonium. So it is mentioned as Pu. Neptunium, Neptune planet, and Np, and uranium, Uranus, U. It's a planet. So we studied about how to write the symbols. So it is easy to identify using this alphabets instead of the symbols, that is the Greek symbols or alphabet symbols or dotted symbols is very tough to remember and keep in our mind. So this is very easy, and this is followed even today. This is a method of writing the symbols. So mostly the non-metals is mentioned by a single capital letter. We can see the tabular column, so many elements are given. And also if the first two letters are the same, so we will go for the next two letters. I have took an example as aluminium and argon. Here A, this also first letter is A, here also first letter is A. So we are going for the next letter as Al. I have written as Al. You can see here the first letter will be in capital and the second letter will be in small letter. Whenever you write Al, you should write in such a way only. And argon, first letter is in capital A and small letter, and the next letter is small letter R. When there is another method, that's other difficulty if has the same second letters. I have written here argon and arsenic. So you can see here. So A-R-S-E-N-I-C. So I can took this two. If I write A-R, it denotes only argon. So when I write A-S, it is arsenic. So you can easily identify the elements based on these letters. Some elements are named after the Greek or Latin names. So it is in the tabular column it is given. For example, I have written an example as potassium. For sodium it is natrium. Like that, it is so many are there. Potassium, the Latin name for potassium is kalium, and it is denoted by the first letter of this one is K, kalium. So I hope you can understand how to write. So what is the rule? The first letter, when you write a single letter, it should be in capital. When you write two letters for an element, one should be in capital and other should be in small letters. I hope you can understand how to write the symbols of the elements. For example, when I write hydrogen, H and hydrogen, and other element is there is helium. So how will you write this? This also H, this also H. How will you write? Hydrogen can be written as just writing a capital letter of H. When I write helium, I will write H-E. So you can see the first letter in capital and the second letter in small letters. So helium. So I hope you can understand how to write the symbols. Next, we are going to learn about the compounds. Before the compounds, we will learn about the types of, metals and non-metals. As I said, each and every, as I said, there are how many elements are there? There are 118 elements are there. So these elements, some may have the properties of metals, some may have the properties of non-metals. So elements are classified into three types. One is metals, non-metals, and the other one is semi-metals, or otherwise called as metalloids. I just say, these metals and non-metals are differentiated because of their physical properties. Based on the properties, it is classified as metals and non-metals. This semi-metals, or otherwise called as metalloids, will have the property of metals as well as non-metals. It will have both the properties. That's why it is called as semi-metals. I can explain with an example also. See, just listen here. So metals, we are using gold. Gold is a metal. We are using aluminium, copper, iron. All these things we are using in our daily life. All these things are, you can see, just seeing that you can be able to see the structure, the hardness, boiling point, melting point. All these things comes under physical properties. So what are the physical properties? Just seeing an appearance tells about you the physical properties. When I see a boy, I can say he is tall, he is fair, he is handsome. All these things you can say by seeing the physical appearance. So that is called as physical properties. Here we can see when I take an iron sheet, the iron sheet will be hard or soft. I hear that you are saying it is hard. So it is hard. So the metals are hard. And what about the temperature? That is, it will be solid or liquid at a room temperature. It will be solid. And I'm just saying with the iron. I just take an iron bar or iron sheet or iron rod, whatever it is. You just keep an example in your mind so that it will be easy for you to learn. So it will be hard and it will be solid in nature at room temperature or any temperature. When you heat towards extent only it will. So it has high boiling point and also it has high melting point. All the metals have this type of nature, these properties. And all are lustrous. What is meant by lustrous? You can see some metals will shine. When light falls on it, it will reflect. So that is called as luster. That is the shining property we call as luster, and this comes with the lustrous metals. So gold, aluminium, silver, iron, copper, everything will give you a shiny appearance. So it comes under lustrous. So it is lustrous in nature. And the next one is, it is sonorous. What is the meaning of sonorous? When you hit an iron on some place, it will make sound. So it will produce sound. So it is called as sonorous. Making sound is nothing but sonorous. So when you hit, so that's why in the bells, the temple bells, we can see it is made up of iron. So it will be making more sound. See, that's the nature of the metals. And the next one is ductility and malleability. Ductility means you can able to make the metals into a thin wires, that is drawn into thin wires. We can see in the electrical cables, we can see the aluminium wires and copper wires are used. All these things are metals. So you can able to make into a thin wires. Even the gold can be made into a thin wire, silver can be made into thin wire. So that process is called as ductility. So all these things are ductile. And malleable, can hit with the hammer, make into a sheets. We can able to make into a sheets. That is, when you can able to hit with hammer and make into a sheets. So you can, so these are the properties based on this, the classifications only. They have divided into metals, non-metals. So this metal, this semi-metals will have both the characters together. That is, both the physical nature will have for this semi-metals. So just go through the book, we'll just go through the book what is given there. So physical properties of metals. Metals are solid under normal conditions. So most metals are hard. So all the metals have high boiling point and high melting point. They are lustrous in nature, that is, they are shiny in nature, and they can able to produce sound when you hit. So that is called as sonorous. And ductile, it is so ductile and it is malleable in nature. So these are the properties of metals. So just opposite to this only the non-metals properties will be there. As I said, metals, so I'll rub this and I'll write the content on the board so that it will be easy for you. As I said, this is non-metals. When you compare and learn, it will be easy for you to remember. As I said, metals are hard, so non-metals will be soft. It will be soft. And when I take, it is a solid, it occurs in 3 states. It may occur in solid, liquid as well as gas. So this non-metals may occur in 3 states of matter also. It occurs only in solid state. When I come to the boiling points, it has high boiling point and high melting point. Just vice versa, opposite to that, it has low boiling point and low melting point. Coming to the lustrous, it is very shiny, the metals are shiny, whereas it is non-lustrous. You just take a graphite, that exception is diamond and graphite also. Then coming to the sonorous, it produces sound, but it does not produce sound. When you see the examples, it will be easy for you to, what is metals and what is non-metals, it will be easy for you to understand. And the next one is ductility. It can able to drawn into thin wires. As it is hard, you can able to make into a thin wires. But this, as it is very soft, it can able to break. It is so brittle. Brittle means when I have a chalk piece in my hand, it is easy to break. So this is called brittle. And the next one is malleability. It is less malleable. As I said, it is hard, so it is less ductile and less malleable. You can go through the lesson and understand, and you can learn the difference between it. I hope you can understand the lesson. We'll see in the next class. Thank you.